Don Knotts made millions of people laugh as the nervous, lovable deputy Barney Fife. 5 Emmy Awards. A place in television history. But behind that nervous smile was a man carrying something much heavier. What kind of pain hides behind a comedian's laughter? For years, the world only saw the jokes, the twitchy movements, the perfect timing. But now, at 72, his daughter has started to share what life was really like behind the scenes. And what she reveals changes everything you thought you knew. Don's story didn't begin with laughter. It began in a small town in West Virginia, in a home filled with fear. His father struggled with severe mental illness and alcohol, often becoming violent. The family had already lost their farm before Don was even born. Home wasn't safe. It wasn't stable. So where does a child go when reality becomes too much? Don escaped into his imagination. He created his own world, one where he had control, one where fear couldn't reach him. That inner world slowly turned into something powerful. Comedy. But was it just talent, or survival? Even among his brothers, life wasn't easy. Relationships were strained. Emotions ran high. But one brother, Sid, stood out. Sid brought laughter into the darkness. He became Don's light, his inspiration. And then, suddenly, Sid was gone, taken by an asthma attack. The loss hit hard. It stayed with Don forever. How do you recover from something like that? As a child, Don found comfort in performing. He practiced with a ventriloquist dummy named Danny. Small routines.
Quiet moments.
That's where his confidence began to grow. Slowly, the shy boy started to find his voice. But deep down, insecurity never left him. In high school, he was popular, funny, even elected class president. But inside, he felt different. Too thin, too poor, like he didn't belong. And that feeling, it followed him into adulthood. So what happens when someone who feels invisible tries to chase a spotlight? At 18, Don moved to New York City with nothing but hope, determination, and his dummy. The city didn't welcome him. Auditions failed. Doors stayed closed. His shyness held him back. It looked like the dream might end before it even began. But then something unexpected happened. He joined the army during World War II. Not on the front lines, but entertaining troops, making soldiers laugh in the middle of chaos. And for the first time, he realized something. His humor had power. Real power. Could this be the turning point? After the war, he went back to school, then back to chasing his dream. It wasn't easy. The industry was tough. But slowly, things began to shift. He found work in radio, playing a fast-talking character that let his natural comedic rhythm shine. Then came television. Small roles at first, but each one mattered. And then came the moment that changed everything. A comedy show. A strange, nervous character. Big eyes. Twitchy energy. Audiences loved it. It wasn't polished. It wasn't perfect. It was real. Don had taken his own anxiety and turned it into something people couldn't stop watching. But here's the question. What happens when your greatest strength is also your deepest struggle? Around this time, he met Andy Griffith. A friendship formed. Then a partnership. Together, they created something unforgettable. The Andy Griffith Show. And right at the center of it was Barney Fife. Paranoid. Awkward. Hilarious. Barney became a cultural icon. Don won 5 Emmys. He was finally a star. The dream had come true. But behind the scenes, things weren't so simple. The fame brought pressure, expectations, and his anxiety didn't disappear. It grew stronger. Doctors prescribed medication to help him cope. At first, it worked. But over time, it became something else. A dependency. A quiet battle no one could see. How do you keep smiling when you're struggling just to get through the day? His personal life began to suffer. His marriage started to crack under the pressure. Long hours. Emotional distance. The man who made everyone laugh was finding it harder and harder to hold his own life together. Eventually, the marriage ended. And that was just the beginning. Don made a bold decision. He left the show at the height of its success, believing it would end soon. It didn't. The show went on without him. And suddenly, the safety net was gone. Could he recreate that magic somewhere else? He tried. Films. New roles. But nothing quite matched Barney Fife. The audience loved him, but often only as that one character. And that kind of success can become a trap. How do you move forward when the world won't let you change? Behind it all, his anxiety kept tightening its grip. There were days he couldn't get out of bed. Days when fear took over completely. The medication helped, but also hurt. And then came another layer, hypochondria. He became convinced he was seriously ill, even when he wasn't. The mind can be a powerful enemy. Relationships continued to struggle. Love came and went. Fame surrounded him, but loneliness stayed close. It raises a difficult question. Can success ever truly fill emotional gaps that started in childhood? As he got older, new challenges appeared. His eyesight began to fail due to macular degeneration. For a performer, that's terrifying. The fear of losing his vision pushed him into a deep depression. It wasn't just about sight, it was about identity. Who is a performer who can no longer perform? Thankfully, surgery restored his vision. A moment of relief. A second chance. But time was catching up. Years of smoking had taken their toll. Eventually, he was diagnosed with lung cancer. And yet, even then, something remarkable happened. He stayed positive. He joked. He laughed. Even as his health declined, he kept his sense of humor alive. Almost like it was the only way he knew how to face the end. But was it strength, or a shield he never learned to put down? In his final days, he was surrounded by family. His daughter Karen was by his side. And in one unforgettable moment, even as he was dying, he made them laugh. A real laugh. The kind he had given the world his entire life. Karen stepped out of the room, overwhelmed. How do you process laughter in the middle of loss? Years later, she realized something powerful. That laughter wasn't denial. It was a gift. His final gift. Even at the very end, he was still performing. Still comforting others. Still choosing humor over fear. A close friend later told Karen that staying and laughing would have been the greatest honor she could give him. And that changes the way we see everything, doesn't it? Don Knotts wasn't just a comedian. He was a man who turned pain into laughter, fear into performance, struggle into something the world could smile at. In his final moments, his longtime friend Andy Griffith came to see him. There were no big speeches, just a quiet connection, a small movement, a shared understanding. And just like that, the story came full circle. Behind every laugh was a story most people never saw. A story of fear, resilience, heartbreak, and strength. And maybe that's what makes it all so powerful. Because in the end, Don Knotts didn't just make people laugh. He showed that even in the darkest moments, there's still room for a smile.